Do I have a gavel? I guess I don't. Okay, we're off to the races, gang. It's the General Government Subcommittee of Senate Finance, and we're here for our subcommittee meeting. I have 4 members, Senator Newman, Senator Evans, Senator Locke, and myself. And I guess what we're going to do today is take a look at member amendments. Let me just put on the record that one of the issues I've been talking about with Adam and asked him to put on the agenda, but we just didn't get an answer, was getting DHRM in to figure out what's our status with state employees, who's working remotely, who's in the office, what's the supervision, do we still need office space, and that continues to be an ongoing issue, which is now approaching 2 years. And I realize we have a new administration, and so there's some transitions there, but at the end of the day, we're just going to have to get some answers on that. So anyways, okay. All right, Adam, why don't you take it away?
Yes.
Adam Rosatelli, by the way, not Adam Evan.
I had some thoughts, Mr. Chairman, but I'll hold mine.
Okay, yep.
All right, thank you, sir. So behind the first tab, you're going to see the member amendments for SB 29. I actually think you're on 30. You might want to go back one. So the green sheet, green sheet behind tab 1 is going to be the handful of SB 29 member amendments related to general government. So just quickly going through those because there are in excess of 100 of them and we have a short period of time. So beginning with 1, this is related to SJ 33. It was in rules, and there was a JLARC study that was done in 2018 on election governance. So I think there was going to be an amendment proposed to kind of scale it down. But anyway, there's an amendment related to SJ 33. Line 2, this would establish 6 FTEs in the office of the governor to kind of backfill, and Senator Newman, this is your amendment, to kind of backfill the positions on loan from other agencies that go to the governor's office, secretary's offices, that sort of thing, which is kind of a routine practice. But some of those positions can be there for, the entire term of, a governor's term. They could be there for 3 or 4 years, something like that. So that reflects 6 positions there.
This undoes the borrowing and actually just settles the positions back into where they should be. PETA has 3 out on the draw. The concern is security concerns. I don't think they should be borrowing 3 people from PETA. So that's it.
Yes, sir. All right, line 3. This would be language of Senator Donovan. So this would allow a locality that provided either a one-time bonus or salary increase greater than or equal to the $3,000 bonus that was provided in the 2021 special session 2, I think, is when we used the ARPA funds to provide some bonuses. This would allow them, I think this has to do with some localities that provided some exceptional salary increases and bonuses, but the language specified a bonus. So they're looking for flexibility for a salary that was equal to or greater than that on an ongoing basis to satisfy the bonus amount. Line 4, this is Senator Evans' amendment. So this has to do with a federal CISA FEMA cybersecurity grant. The state share of this total grant would be about $24 million. There are phased varying degrees of a state match to qualify for the drawdown. A lot of the money, most of it actually goes to localities. It's kind of a pass-through where the state is the fiduciary. I think 80% goes to localities. And then working with the localities, the state would kind of develop a cybersecurity plan to accommodate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Senator Evans.
There's no dollar figure in the 2 columns for at least for 2022. Is that because the money is later?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Evans, that's correct. So the language, it's just language in SB 29, which would allow them to, or directs the agency to
Yeah, it's a good vibe.
It directs the agency to pursue obtaining the federal dollars and then establish a committee that's required of the, it's a grant stipulation that you have a planning committee that figures out which cybersecurity projects to kind of endeavor in. And then there's a companion amendment in SB 30 that would allocate dollars in FY 23.
Oh, that's okay. That's the other one I'm thinking of.
And the language is also in the big bill as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're only talking about SB 29 today.
Nope, we're going to talk about both.
Oh, later,
Yeah, that's-
later. I
yeah,
apologize. Sorry for getting ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Line 5 and 6, these are both, Senator Newman, that you may be able to speak better to it than I can.
We've got all the federal money, and we're the fiduciary for us and for localities. They're going to come in and audit it, and we are going to have Joe Flores do this, because he was going to leave the secretary to do this. Now they're going to have to get someone else, but we need to make sure that we get them where all the localities spend all their money, and whether or not it complies, since we're the fiduciary. So you can pay for this with ARPA money, and I was told by Secretary Cummings the other day that there's another $11 billion coming for transportation, and it anticipates a 2% for oversight. So I think there's going to be plenty of money. It's just a matter of where you get it.
Okay. Line 7, this is just funding related to, it's actually just NGF dollars related to SB 18, and that is in finance. Line 8, implementation costs related to SB 17, which is also in finance. So moving now to SB 30, which is the next group, so behind the green sheets. There we go. Line 1, this is Senator Ebbins' amendment. This will provide full benefits to the second Senate legislative aid. I think this is just adding health insurance benefits.
Yeah,
Is
well,
correct?
that was the intent, was health insurance. It says full benefits there, and just as an aside to members of the committee, there was one of our senator's second legislative aides took a job with a delegate to be the full legislative aide, and he was diagnosed with cancer just a few weeks later, and he saved $15,000 in co-pays and was able to he was in the process of purchasing a home. He was able to purchase his home anyway with that. And if he had stayed in Senator Barker's employ, he would have had a $15,000 copay and not been covered.
Okay, can I just, and listen, this sounds like a good idea. We really need 2 staff assistants. Some of us right now break up that second position between 2 people. I guess that would, if you do that, then you're going to have to make a full election.
It should only be for the same way you have to work more than how many hours?
Yeah, I mean,
We could even make it should only be for the people who are, if you break it in half, you shouldn't get the.
no, that's my point, that you can't break it in half anymore. In other words,
Well, you
under
can
federal.
either break it in half and not offer insurance.
I know, Adam. What I'm saying is under federal law, you have to work at least 30 hours to qualify for benefits, so we'd have to stop breaking it in half.
We wouldn't have to stop breaking it in half. You just wouldn't offer insurance to anyone who
Adam.
wasn't
I
full-time.
realize that. I'm just saying you can't enjoy this unless you have a second full-time.
Right. The whole idea is that if you work full-time, that you could get insurance. But
Understood.
I've broken it in half in the past, and my intention would be only to offer it to someone who's a full-time employee.
Right.
But some people still find it more convenient to break it in half, and that's fine.
Right, I got you. Senator Newman.
Quickly, Adam, I'm warming up to the idea too.
Yeah.
The question is this for VRS benefits also, or just health benefits?
My intent was just for health. The way this is written says full benefits, but all I really care about is the health insurance.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Senator Newman, I think that's just the title. I think the cost is reflective of health benefits.
Oh, that would be much more expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
All right, line 2 is related to SB 62 projected costs, and that went by for the week, so that hasn't been heard yet. Line 3, that bill was reported, so they're going to pick up the costs associated with SJ 35. Line 4, that is gone. That was continued to 2023. That's SJ 24. Line 5, there's some language, Senator Mason, related to ASAP, which is the Alcohol Safety Action Program, and that's just, that would say that members contribute to the operating costs associated with the organization at a negotiated rate among the parties. Line 6, this is a compensation plan for Capitol Police that would essentially raise their salaries by 7.7%, similar to what state police were raised by. Increases the post academy increase from 8.9% to 10%, and then does compression adjustment too, and some other things for wage staff, dispatchers, some of the civilian staff as well. Line 7, this passed out of rules. This is the kind of the pandemic autopsy surveils, SJ10, and that'll just be, the cost of that is estimated at $750,000. That would just be a first-year cost, though. The second-year amount isn't required there.
Okay.
Going to line 8. This is a compensation action for DLS staff, and it was signed on pretty much by everybody as co-patron. So this is, DLS essentially worked with Senate Finance staff to come up with a plan. It's pretty modest, really. I think it's a 6% increase
All right.
for starting.
I was going to say, that Servell is such a brown noser. Okay. No wonder all his bills get drafted first. Okay.
So line 9, Senator Locke, this is your amendment. So this would provide some full-time staffing to the Housing Commission. Before, it was essentially just kind of staff on loan from DLS that ran it, and there was an executive director, but still a DLS employee. So this would kind of create it more along the lines from a staffing complement and operational dollar standpoint, like the Commission on Youth. So it'd be more consistent with that. Line 10, this is related to a handful of amendments for a JLARC policy recommendation related to VEC, and you're going to see these, everything that's applicable on the general government side. There's a handful of them, and this is just implementing some of those recommendations. Line 11, this is just providing just the rental increase for the Chesapeake Bay Commission. As you know, the things for the legislative agencies aren't put in the budget typically, and then we go ahead and do that on their behalf. Line 12, this is rent expense, similar to the previous line, rent expense for the Commission on Youth that they will need. They're moving into the parking deck offices across from the new GAB, and they need rent accommodated for them. So line 13, this is related to the Commission on Youth, and this it was an initiative that was adopted to examine juvenile detention centers, and it, kind of like a BRAC kind of for juvenile detention centers, really, to see what facilities I guess are being underutilized and that sort of thing. So that's funding that would provide for a person to do that work, to kind of perform that analysis. Line 14, this is presumably related to a bill that I must be there. It's a Servell bill related to expanding the Crime Commission. I don't know, I couldn't identify it in LIS, but presumably there's a bill that's doing that, and that is the estimated cost to fund that bill. Line 15 is related to SJ 25, and that was continued to 2023, so that's gone from a cost perspective. Line 16, Senator Donovan has some language that would direct the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court to encourage judges to connect individuals with services, Medicaid-related services through Bravo and ARTS. So from a policy standpoint, it may be kind of more of an HHR type issue, but it's courts language that would exist within the Supreme Court directing them to these programs if they're eligible to receive the kind of the benefits through those programs.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Senator Evan.
could I ask what Bravo and ARTS are?
Yes, you can, and I don't know if I could answer.
Say, Bravo's a channel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the TV
Not the TV channel?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not, yeah, no, it's an acronym. It's essentially Medicaid services for behavioral health and different things, and that the ARTS and Bravo are an acronym for something.
But they're not
provide
related
those-
to the ARTS.
It's not related to the
Okay.
ARTS. Yeah,
That's-
I
I
know.
just
It's
wanted to
confusing.
confirm.
Bravo and the ARTS would suggest that it might be, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
No, I apologize. So line 17, this bill is Lewis's bill. It's in finance. It would increase juror fees from 30 to 100, and the patron put $1 million a year. I think it may be a little bit more than that. Line 18, that bill was reported and re-referred to finance, and it's related to. Yeah, SB 742. Line 19, Senator Peterson, this is your language related to appellate courts provide in-person hearings upon request. Line 20, McClellan's bill was already PBI'd with letters, so that cost would go away. Line 21, this is, should be coming to finance. This is McClellan's bill. Put $4 million a year associated with that court appearance, kind of having a council representation at your first appearance. It probably, I think it's going to be in excess of $4 million, but that's what the patron put in. Line 22, this is language related to the Supreme Court to offer training to juvenile domestic relations circuit court judges on how to interpret forensic interviews, and there was $50,000 related to accommodating that. Line 23, this is related to SB 136, and this is in finance, and the cost isn't quite $50 million what the patron put in. It's more in the $32 to $52 million range, but still.
Increased court-appointed attorney's fees.
Yeah, it's essentially doubling the statutory cap for all of the court-appointed attorney's fees.
Okay.
And-
And you
and
think
the
it's not
waivers.
50 million?
It could go up to 52.8, but the range depending upon the number of cases that are taken up. That's essentially just taking FY, I think maybe 19 levels, like pre-pandemic levels, and doubling the number of applicable.
Okay, I'm gonna put a bracket on that.
It's going to be.
You absolutely need to do
It's
this, but that-
expensive.
that's a lot of
Yeah.
money.
It's very expensive.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Moving to line 24. This is in judiciary, and this was incorporated into SB 745. So that is the funding related to SB 518 that was put in by the patron. Line 25, this is Senator Reeves. This would expand the Rappahannock Veterans Docket, put in $200,000 each year. Line 26, this passed out of Senate Finance. It may have already passed the Senate. I'm not sure, but this is increasing the fees paid to experts in court cases. So I think it went from maybe $750 to $1,200 there, and that cost, actually, the patron put in 1.4. It's actually about 1.1 probably each year, so that'll be adjusted down a little bit to reflect the fiscal impact. Line 27, SB 134, that's just the patron's estimated cost associated with it. I think that's still in judiciary. Line 28, this is a crime commission recommendation. Senator Edwards put in training and support for sealing and expungement related to the marijuana bill and the broader sealing and expungement legislation that's already passed and is continuing to be modified. Line 29.
Do you mind if I talk to, this is just language, but it would basically get the Indigent Defense Commission to establish an appellate advocacy group, which the AG's office obviously already has. So when you have public defenders that are going to be doing appeals to the Court of Appeals, you actually have specialists and not some, street lawyer like me doing it. So that's the idea.
Why is it no money?
Because I need to get sort of the structure in place. I just don't want to throw money at it before I know exactly how we're going to do it. But we will do it eventually. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Yes, sir. So line 30, so this would establish a Henrico Public Defender's Office.
Have they asked for this?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, I think Henrico provided testimony on the first
They
day
don't want
that
this.
it was heard, that they didn't ask for it. I think,
Okay.
yeah, there is a study. SR1 is actually looking at public defender offices and the feasibility of kind of doing them on a statewide basis.
Yeah, obviously, sometimes the local bar is not a huge fan of a public defender's office because it takes away business. It really depends, but.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Line 31, this would provide an additional FTE for the Cannabis Community Equity Reinvestment Board, Senator Abbin's amendment. Line 32, Senator McClellan, this bill is in Senate Finance. I think it has about a $23,000 cost associated with Virginia African Diaspora Advisory Board. Line 33, this is Senator Newman's amendment, again, that would create those 6 FTEs, and this is just reflective of putting them in what was put in SB 29, carrying through to FY 23 and 24. Line 34, so this is related to SB 270. This is Hashmi's bill that passed out of Senate Finance. There's also some this is just one of the amendments. There was another amendment that directs all the funding related to language access to go towards the implementation of SB 270, but those are, the bill having passed doesn't necessarily imply that that has to, needs to happen budgetarily. Line 35, this is Senator Norman's amendment. This would reestablish the Virginia Beach office of the Attorney General. Apparently there used to be an office. I think it was closed down during the Cuccinelli years, I think, between 2009 and 2014, obviously, and this is reestablishing it. The 250 is essentially enough to kind of get it up and running. And I know there are some remote staff, I think, associated with the OAG's office that work in Virginia Beach or would work in Virginia Beach. So I don't know how much they would staff it up or what. This is just like preliminary. This doesn't really reflect staffing costs.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator Locke.
why was it closed in the first place?
I asked that question, Mr. Chairman, Senator Locke, and they don't know. There's no real. I think it was probably.
And
No, and that's the thing. There are regional offices, and there actually isn't an office that kind of represents the eastern portion of the state like that. And I think it was just a cost-cutting measure, maybe. I don't know, but there are, I think, 3 other north, east, different portions, the south, western. I can't remember exactly which cities.
So there's no office in, say, Hampton or Norfolk?
No, not to my knowledge. I don't believe there's one out there. So they're trying to reestablish a geographical presence in the eastern portion of the state.
so there are other regional offices?
There are.
Fairfax.
Yeah, exactly. Right. There just isn't one out there.
All right. Well, these folks aren't going to work from home, are they? We're not going to have an office and then no one shows up.
They have to work from home right now because there's no office in Virginia Beach.
Well, that's an excellent point. Okay. Keep going, Adam.
All right, line 38. This Senator Marsden would add additional OAG positions related to cannabis enforcement investigators. $1.6 million each year. Line 39. This is related to the Consumer Data Protection Act. This is in finance, and the funding related to this effectively, I think, is in the governor's or the introduced budget related to enforcement for the OAG because those positions were never put in previously because of the delayed effective date.
Could we walk back to, Mr. Chairman, to
Yeah.
38, to the cannabis enforcement investigators with OAG? I thought the Cannabis Control Authority would be investigating violations among licensees. Is this, who would they be? I mean, for consumer protection and that sort of thing, in terms of to make sure that the product is tested, is this OAG position have a different function?
Mr. Chairman said I would have to talk to the patron to see specifically what they envision this. I imagine just enforcing the extent to which they're provided for in the bill. I would think. I don't think it's.
He's a bill related to this?
No. In the
larger
generally
cannabis
and
bill.
related
Okay.
to the marijuana bill, whatever.
Okay, I'll talk to Sarah Marston offline, but we are going to have enforcement from the Cannabis Control Authority if that continues to be the vehicle, I thought. So I'll check with Senator Marston.
Okay. Push on, Adam. Where are we? Which
All
line?
right. We are. Okay, line 40. There's no cost. This was incorporated into SB 393 Evans bill, SB 584. So that's there's nothing there, and there's no fiscal impact associated with the bill into which it was incorporated. So that is done. Line 41, SB 241, that passed the Senate. The FIS is going to be a little bit less than that 50 each year, but we're going to end up picking that up. That's, I think, about $41,000 each year. Line 42, this is McPike's SB 224. This is in Gen Laws still, and so we'll see what happens with that, and that's just the estimated cost associated with it. Line 43, this would provide funding to comply with the statutory 1 to 1,500 law enforcement sheriff staffing level. I'm not sure it's ever been done, but there's a code section that provides for that, and then we just fund something less than that in the budget. And so that's $11.5 and $14.4 million each year to accommodate that, and it looks like it would add total of 275 FTE. to comply with that. Line 44, this is a comprehensive compensation plan, Senator Stanley's amendment, $112.5 million, $122.8 million in each year respectively. And that would increase the grade 7 entry-level starting pay for sheriffs and regional jail officers to $46,000 and have a career progression program that would have increases that would correspond to tenure and rank and that sort of thing. So that's the cost associated with that.
This says that shall not use the compensation plan to supplement local funds. I think you mean to say supplant local funds. In other words,
Probably
yeah, I
so.
think you
That's
got a
how.
wrong
That's
word there.
probably how the amendment was was put in.
I don't know how they.
It's an
I don't know how they do it
export
down
from
in,
a system, but yes, no, that's correct. It would be
Franklin County, but I would say
supplant.
supplant.
It's exactly. It would be
Right.
supplanting the funding that the localities are putting in on their
Okay.
behalf.
All right.
Line 45, this is Senator Ruff's amendment. This has to do with Piedmont Regional Jail, and you'll see another one that's similar, is Senator Lucas' bill related to the Western Tidewater Regional Jail. These folks built jails. There was a moratorium in place at one point where you couldn't add new bed space.
Okay.
Some places made the decision to add bed space anyway, accommodate federal inmates.
Okay.
And then receive funding for that. So anyway, they're asking for, between WTRJ, Piedmont's asking for staffing. Their rated capacity has been approved, and they're just staffing essentially with local positions, and there's no staffing that's been provided in years up to that rated capacity. WTRJ is actually asking for just an increase in their exemption from the federal inmate cost recovery that the compensation board does because we're not providing staffing for them up to their rated capacity. So those two things are kind of related, just somewhat different approaches to it, and those are lines 45 and 47. Line 46, this has to do with SB 581, and this is in Senate Finance right now, and that cost in the Patrons Amendment would essentially offset the cost to the local and regional jails for having reduced the cost of goods that are in the stores, in the canteens, in the commissaries, I guess, that they sell goods to the inmates. So line 48, that's actually related to Piedmont. That's giving back the exemption amount that they get in lieu to get staffing in lieu of that. Line 49, Senator Peterson, this is
Yeah.
your amendment. This
Yeah.
you want to speak to?
Yeah, this just comes straight from my Fairfax County Sheriff. It's just increasing per diem for local responsibles, and I think we all know this issue. You know, our per diems are pathetic right now for sheriffs, so this would be a statewide, but
Right.
my sheriff requested on behalf of the Sheriff's Association.
Well, I know, and yeah, it's already been communicated that we would look at the state responsible, the out-of-compliance state responsible too, associated with the bill.
And I think
that
49
Pete
and
put
50,
in.
the exact same thing?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Is that
so,
a typo in the explanation where it says to increase it from the current rate of $4 per day to $8 per day?
Nope.
We're paying the local jails $4 to house an inmate that's a state responsible inmate, is that right?
this is local responsible.
This is local. We pay state responsible $12 a day.
This is local. So this is someone who's in on a misdemeanor or
Sure,
a pending charge.
and the true cost is presumably in the hundreds or something, chap?
You know, it's probably, I think I got an answer back there. Mike?
Mr. Chairman, Mike Edwards on behalf of the Association of Regional Jails. You all took it from 8 to 4 during the Great Recession. It wasn't a policy decision, it was a budget savings.
Right.
You took state from 14 to 12.
Right.
That was actually a wash. So if we got back to 8, that would be a huge help. Everybody gets $4. Even someone on a state sentence gets
Right.
4 before they're sentenced. Once they're sentenced by the state, you get the 12.
Right, so think of it this way, somebody's in, they're being held on a bond, they go to trial, they get convicted. It's a month-long process before they actually go downstate, and during that whole time, they're locally
Yeah,
responsible.
so I guess my question, Mr. Chairman, for Mike is, do we know what it really costs to house an inmate?
The last jail reports by the comp board, 20, so 19, about $100 a day.
Yeah, I would say about $100
$100
a day, so-
1% of
Yeah,
that.
so
About
this is
$100
just
a
a
day.
step to.
Mr. Edwards is also including all the overhead in that.
Right.
The indirect, the direct inmate cost is probably, like 15 to 20, I would think.
Well, the marginal cost is probably the meals, because you already got the beds.
It's food and medicine.
Okay.
That's the statewide average, by the way. That's the
Statewide average.
That includes the comp board offsets for positions.
Having said that, not to say, it's still
Not
a
to
low
belabor
amount.
it.
It's not sufficient to cover the cost, for
Not
sure.
to belabor it, but I've eaten the food, and
It's not costing $4 for food, it's sad that it's not.
but this is a good idea, so I hope
Yeah.
we'll be able to fund it.
Helping the sheriffs. Okay. And so 49 and 50, they look to me to be exactly the same. They probably should be combined. I don't know if there's a roll into.
Yeah, I think,
You could just roll in and make
Sure.
Deeds and I the same patron, so,
yeah,
okay.
they are identical.
Okay, moving on.
All right, line 51, this is Senator Norman's, this would increase the aid to local commissioners of the revenue. So we've, cost-cutting measures that were done kind of around the Great Recession time, 2010, 2011, a lot of cuts were made related to compensation board funded positions, either turning some full-time to part-time and then just cutting positions entirely. So there has been kind of a push over the past few years to kind of bring those positions back up to their kind of full staffing complement. So this is reflective of that for the local commissioners of the revenue. Similarly, so Senator Peterson, this is your amendment restoring some of the unfunded positions. Actually, those are identical as well, looks like.
Okay, all right, so we could roll in 51 and 52 also. Yeah, they are identical.
This is Senator Edwards' amendment related to Roanoke City. So a long time, apparently in 1982, there was a statutory one bill that allowed them to, by charter, not accept funding from the state for funding their circuit court clerk's office. They would like to amend their charter, I think, to, apparently they're probably not bringing in as many fees as they thought they might, and it's not sufficient, I'm guessing, to cover the cost of their office. So they're trying to revert that, give back the money that they otherwise would retain and send it to the state, and then put in funding through the compensation board for staffing.
Chairman,
Yes, Senator Newman.
is this the delta number, or is this the cost number of the delta number?
This is the it's I believe that's the total cost number, and then there's some amount that would offset that from the fees that are coming in that they're otherwise retaining now. So
Okay. All right, we got about 20 minutes to run through these, Adams.
line 54, this passed out of finance. This is SB 221, and it was changed to a pilot program. There's actually no cost associated with that bill anymore.
Okay.
Line 55, this is Senator McDougal's circuit court clerk's exemption from expungement and sealing. I think this is just language saying that circuit court clerks don't have to comply with the expungement and sealing provisions of the, I'm guessing, SB 1391 of last year and any of the other provisions in the associated
That
bills.
sounds like it should have been a bill, but okay.
Line 56, Senator Lucas's, this would, again, this is restoring funding for underfunded deputy treasurers. I think this is moving from part-time to full-time likely, and then the same, the line below that, line 57, this is restoring funding for deputy treasurer positions that were fully unfunded. Line 58 is related to that Piedmont amendment, and this is essentially just adding positions to the position table to accommodate the previous amendment. Line 59, this bill is in finance, SB 550. It has, I think, a minimal indeterminate fiscal impact, so that's just 50,000 as a placeholder. Line 60, this passed the Senate. This is Senator Bell's SB 258. There's no fiscal impact associated with that, so that 50,000 would go. Line 61, Senator Ruff has a language amendment that would create a recycled materials advantage program that would direct DGS to promulgate regulations that would provide a preference in the bidding process of purchased materials that have some percentage are made of recycled materials by some percentage. Line 62, Senator Vogel has an amendment that would ask the state, or direct the state rather, to improve the Clark County parcel and make it, essentially put in the infrastructure there and then convey that to Clark County for economic development purposes, essentially. Line 63, this is another one of those JLARC VEC policy recommendations, and this is just language. Line 64, this is Senator Marsden was looking to do language, and so this language reflects a DGS to establish a work group to examine opportunities for public-private partnerships for the procurement of goods statewide. And I think this has been looked at a little bit a couple of times. There are some people that are interested in trying to establish some sort of relationship by which they accommodate that. So I think this is just continuing that process of examining that potential opportunity. Line 65, again, another JLARC VEC recommendation that's language. Line 66, this is Senator Mason, would establish a position of state government internship coordinator, and I think in DHRM, yeah. So that reflects that cost. Line 67, Senator Peterson, this is yours. This is what you'd spoken about, and some iteration of this language has existed before, and it hasn't really happened yet. So let's see, line 68, SB 370.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Steve.
just think that on that, I think they're going to look at all efficiency in all state government, and it is something they want to do. So I think if we put it in there, it's a good idea.
Well, we had it in last year, nothing happened.
I think they want to do it this year, though. I think
Okay.
Cummings wants to do it, which helps. So just FYI.
They being DHRM.
Finance. Finance is going to be running a.
Well, you say, you mean our finance committee?
The Department of Finance.
Oh,
Steve
okay.
Cummings. They want to do a full evaluation of efficiency, and this is part of that.
All right, well, I'm just interested to know where people are right now. But anyways, let's push on because we're running out of time.
Gotcha. Line 68, there's no fiscal impact. That's in finance. Line 69 passed the Senate. There's no fiscal impact associated with SB 211. Line 70 and 71, those bills were PBI'd. Line 72, that bill was PBI'd. Line 73. Okay, this is a joint subcommittee. This is related to HJ 526, comprehensive campaign finance reform. That's the estimated cost associated with that. Line 74, that bill was PBI'd. Line 75, SB 3, that's in Senate Finance. I don't believe there's a state fiscal impact associated with that, so that cost would go away. Line 76, this would reflect reimbursing general registrars and electoral board members for their full salary amount that's specified. Right now, I think we fund on a reimbursement basis about, I think, maybe 70 or 80% of the cost of general registrars and electoral board members. Line 77, SB 463, I believe is still in P&E. Line 78, SB 390 was PBI'd. Line 79, this is, Senator Eben, this is the funding in FY23 that would be related to drawing down the $24 million in the federal FEMA grant for cybersecurity. So that's what that amount is, and it's essentially just holding it with language that states that wouldn't revert to the general fund and is used to draw down for those cybersecurity projects.
Okay.
Line 80, this is, Senator Ebba, again, this is VETA language directing agencies to address identified vulnerabilities to make sure that nothing kind of slips through the cracks and agencies are doing their due diligence in managing those security risks. Line 81, this is Senator Newman. This has to do with the oversight of the federal pandemic relief.
We talked about before.
Right, it's reflected, right. Line 82, SB 360 is in finance. This is Senator Stewart's bill that would subsidize the real estate exemption. It's more expensive than $1 million, but that's what the patrons put in here. Line 83, again, Senator Newman, we spoke to this. This is the defeasance of the Central Virginia Training Center bonds. And that number, if we were to do that now, given what's going on, where it would be probably to be, practically speaking, a not to exceed amount of something in excess of this, to just for the way the bonds are paid down and the fluctuation in rates.
Ask a
and so
couple
forth.
questions about that because $22 million is a lot of money. that's a one-time payoff, or is that just money we have to set aside to pay the interest, or what are we doing here?
It's a one-time payoff. So when we close down the training center, this has been up on that hill for 100 years.
Right. I know
It's a
exactly where it is.
big
Right on the
scam.
Amherst County side,
Right.
yeah.
We put $4 million in it. The number should be 18 million. We put $4 million in it last year, and Treasury, for some reason,
Someone
did
fell
not
under
spend the
couch,
money.
it sounds like, okay.
And so we're going to fix that, and then this will be 18 or so million plus what we did last year, but it would completely defease the bonds from that facility. And it's a great placeholder for where we should be talking about the fact that we should not be taking bonds out on a 100-year-old facility because we're paying for maintenance and stuff with bonds.
Are
We
there
should do
any people still there?
that. None, zero.
So we're just holding the land right now?
Yeah, and if we don't pay it off sometime soon, when we have money, it'll be there another 100 years and be the same thing.
Hey, Bert Dodson, there's a man who might know a little bit about it. What is the plan for the property, Steve? I mean,
It's got value. The problem
it's
is
got that right over the river.
it is some of the better land in Central Virginia. The problem is that we have to have a developer who will come in and destroy all the buildings and take out all the asbestos. They're anticipating that's about $5 million, which is about what the land will be worth. So I don't think we're going to have to do the cleanup of the property,
But you don't think it's an asset?
but it's not going to be more than worth
Can we
it.
put a casino there?
Sir?
Casino there?
I think we're starting to saturate the market a bit. Well, you got Danville just right down the road. Yeah, okay, we got you. All right.
I-
Steve, Adam asked if you wanted a casino there.
If you guys will vote for it and I don't have to, maybe yes.
I think Danville might have an issue with that. Okay, let's move on to 84, increased retirement age. That bill has probably been defeated, correct?
Yes, sir, that was PBI.
Okay, so
So
that's out.
that's gone. Well, that was actually, would have been a savings.
Oh, I know.
But line 85, this bill passed the Senate. This is SB 562, but that has no fiscal impact, so that cost would go away. Line 86, SB 1, paid family leave. This is still in C&L, I believe. Line 87, this was continued to 2023, that bill, so that cost would go away. Line 88, it's still in committee, just a placeholder amount related to that. Line 89, that bill was continued to 2023, and that's studying, I think that's going to be studied by JLARC and VRS and DHRM. Okay, line 90. Senator McDougal, this would increase the compensation for substitute judges per diem to $500.
What is it right now?
I think it's $250. I think there's budget language that notwithstands the code that increases it from $200 to $250, and this would double that and make it $500. Line 91, this is related to SB 712, and that is in finance. Line 92, SB 270, again, that passed the Senate, that's Hashmi's bill. This is the language that's directing, I believe, the funding that's in the budget to the bill, to implement the bill. Line 93, that passed our side and was laid on the table on the House side, so that's gone. Line 94, this passed the Senate. It's SB 326, but there's no fiscal impact associated with it. Line 95, this is still in CNL, but there's no fiscal impact associated with that bill as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Line 96, no fiscal impact associated with SB 347. Line 97, the patron struck that bill, SB 267. Line 98, Senator Hashmi, this is language that would provide $100,000 in NGF. I think it's for the SEC, I think that's why it's NGF, to study the effects of insurance reimbursements on auto body shops, inclusive of small family-owned shops, in contrast to larger franchise operations. Line 99.
This is VRS, it's the
It's
911
still
bill. Did that pass?
No, it's in finance still. There was a substitute. We're waiting on a revised FIS
Okay.
associated with that because it was changed quite a lot to take state dispatchers as well. Line 100, this is in finance as well. This is SB 213. This is McPike's fossil fuel divestment bill for VRS.
Okay.
Line 101, this is, Senator Stewart has this language. This language was put in Chapter 1 of Special Session 2 last year. It was kind of correcting an issue with Mullins' bill.
Yeah, well, let me just, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Mullins' bill, and I think we're going to fix that this year through legislation, so
Right.
this will be moot.
Right.
I guess, we'll find out. I will say generally, if there's legislation that's defeated or not passed, and I'm not, wedded to this, but typically I think we would not adopt it, at least at the subcommittee level, We can talk about that.
Labor and Commerce yesterday, the Barker bill did.
No, the Barker bill passed out, and that will basically take us back to just the FLSA standard.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
all right, that's good. All right, well, that deals with that. Okay.
And then line 102 is their language that would essentially, I guess, prohibit nepotism in the hiring in the governor's office.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, am I on the mic?
Repeated in general laws.
Yeah. There is, that's true.
If I can't hire my son-in-law, what's the
SB
point in
95,
being here?
this language essentially reflects SB
I just want to get
95.
my job.
Yeah, just cabinet, not nepotism in general. That's right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, gang. Adam, thank you very much. We got 7 minutes to get downstairs. When's our next meeting? Can you tell me that? When we meet next,
Tuesday.
when's crossover?
Wednesday, the 15th?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday will be, is that the meeting we actually make choices?
Yes.
All right, so guys, at the risk of stating the obvious, and I know you all know this better than I do, let's take this home and decide what we want. And Adam, are you going to give me kind of what our parameters are in terms of what we can do?
No real parameters. You kind of run the show and tell me, but we're from a
We
standpoint,
gotta
from
make
a
the numbers
dollar standpoint, absolutely. There's
We-
there's not a lot of as much money as there is. There are a lot of demands on that money too. So
All
the
right.
degree to which
And-
they're
And we also need to talk about state employee. The outgoing governor put a 5% state employee and teacher pay raise in the budget, correct?
yes, each year,
And we have to decide on that.
us and others.
We have to decide if we're going to change it, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's my point. We got to decide whether or not we're going to change it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably the biggest decision we have to
Yeah,
make.
and there are a lot of probably resources decisions that are driving that need to be
Well,
resolved probably before
okay.
large decisions.
All right, well, that's a very large decision. Some of these are smaller, so just kind of think about what you really want to see, and then we're going to get to that next.
Yeah, and I could send you spreadsheets electronically if you'd prefer, rather than y'all taking these books. I'll send you all.
Okay, that's fine. I tend
and
to
the half
carry things
sheets.
around. Okay, all right, we'll take that up next week then. Okay, gang,
All right.
meeting adjourned.